Okay, so Deuteronomy 6 verse 4 says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command this day shall be in your heart. So this is a commandment given by Moses telling the Israel people what they are supposed to do. The same thing Yeshaya mentioned earlier on in Matthew 22. Okay? Now, a second one that Yeshaya mentions is in Leviticus 19 verse 18. 19 verse 18 says, Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ahaya Shahaya. Now, as we look at this one, we see that second commandment. You love the Lord thy God and love your neighbor as thyself. This is that second one, Leviticus 19, verse 18. Moses, it's repeated again in Deuteronomy 10, verse 12. So please go to Deuteronomy 10, verse 12. In Deuteronomy 10, verse 12, Moses is speaking to the entire Israel people. Okay? It's a community. And he says, And now, Israel, what doth the Lord God require of thee? But to fear the Lord, the Most High, and to walk in his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Most High with all thy heart and with all thy soul. So again, we're seeing that commandment of love. But I want to return to Leviticus 19 because I want to go into that a little bit more. Now it says, Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord thy God. That neighbor, loving thy neighbor, what is that? What does that entail? And that's the question that a lot of times we don't look at it or examine it. We were told that neighbor is just anybody that lives next to us. And that is true, but here we're looking in the sense of neighbor is someone as being part of your community. Also remember that there's a love factor inside there, because when we were talking earlier in the previous lesson about the Good Samaritan, and in there, the neighbor wasn't just somebody who was next door to them. Okay, it was somebody that was in need, and someone had the goods of the world that they were able to help that person. But what I wanted to show you was that in Leviticus, throughout Leviticus 19, they're talking about neighbor. And being a neighbor is being part of a community. And that is very important to the Most High. So please go to Leviticus 19. You should be there now because you're just reading 19:18. There's certain examples that are in Leviticus 19. If you look at Leviticus 19 and 9, it says, And when ye reap harvests of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of the field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. says the Most High. So the Most High is telling the community that they have to look after the poor. Those people that are poor in our community, it's a responsibility that that you look after them, in the sense of to look out for them. If we go to number 11, it says, "Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another." When we're dealing with each other in our community, we're not supposed to be lying to each other. Okay? We have to be telling each other the truth. This isn't a true community. And if we're going to build a true community, we should be thinking about some of the things that the Most High was talking about here. Let's go to 13. "Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning." Okay, this is dealing with robbing your neighbor, stealing from them, not giving them right pay. You work for somebody and they rip you off, or you try to get the best of somebody and try to rip them off. These things the children of Israel are not supposed to be doing. Now, this is a community of Israelites. Now, the one thing they felt they had in common was they had the Most High in common. It's a little bit different in our lives right now, because the next person next to you may not even believe in the Most High. They may believe in some other kind of statue or believe in something else. But we have, let's say, an obligation to our brothers and sisters. An obligation, our brothers and sisters who are following the Most High. And that's what we got to hold on to whenever we're looking at forming our community together and forming our community strong. "Ye shall not do unrighteousness in judgment." That's 15, sorry. So we're in Leviticus, 19 and 15. "Ye shall not do unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor." When we're dealing with our neighbor, or when we're dealing with the people of our community, it doesn't matter. It's not about what favor they're going to do for us or how much money they have in there, okay? It's a matter of right and wrong. We are accountable to the Most High as Most High's people. So we have to look at things in that way, okay? We cannot let money and status, even false friendship. Now, when I'm saying false friendship is that sometimes we have a friendship and it can be very, very strong, but it's not based on the Most High. It's based on, you know what, you will do whatever I do, or whenever I do is good, you never come against me. It's not about that with the children of Israel. We are our brother's keepers, and if they're doing wrong, as a good brother or sister, you're going to say, what you're doing is incorrect. You shouldn't be doing that. The Most High wouldn't want you to do that. We are supposed to be correcting each other. We're not supposed to just blindly going along and blindly thinking that's okay and blindly joining in with them, okay? Or agreeing with them when we know that it's utterly wrong. This takes us to a higher standard. But if we had this higher standard in our community, people would not be able to bribe anybody. We would stand strong. And even if we didn't have the finances within our community, people couldn't bribe us to come get people out of our community. Okay? This weakness, the enemy uses. And other nations are using it against our community right now. And I know that. They use this against our people. Okay? And because we're lacking in there, we give into it. Let's go on to 16. "Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Most High." Okay, you know what? Let's stop the gossiping. We don't need it. It's not necessary. We didn't ask for it. Don't give your opinion when it's not asked for, especially if it's negative. If you're going to tell somebody that they've done something incorrectly, and that's fine. But if you're going to go around and you're just going to spread gossip, that's different. Okay? It's not needed. And when it says you shall not stand against thy blood of thy neighbor, don't set your neighbor up for harm. Don't let any harm come to your neighbor because of something that you have done. Okay? Thou shalt not, 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother or in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ahaya Sharahaya. So this is how you love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay? All those scriptures were giving us an understanding of what we're supposed to do. All those scriptures were also confirming what Yeshua was letting us know, that this is something that was given us from the beginning of time. Okay? From the beginning of our Israel people, I should say. But from the beginning of time, for us, the Most High wanted us to be a community. And we know this when we go to Genesis 2. So let's go to Genesis 2 right now. 2 verse 18. Okay. In Genesis 2 verse 18, it says, and the Most High God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. Okay. This lets you know straight away, we're not supposed to be singled out or live our life by ourselves. We're not supposed to be the only one. We are a community of people. This is just to let you know we are not supposed to be by ourselves. Okay? Which tells you we're a communal people. And we have to act as a communal people.